Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Natalie Hayek, a contributing writer for GI Jobs, a magazine, and I'm joined today with Timothy O'Donnell, a world champion triathlete. And Timothy, you have so many impressive podium finishes, including a historic finish at the Ironman World Championship in 2019. And you're also a Navy veteran, and we're so glad to have you with us today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie.
Thanks. We've been talking a lot about the mindset you've developed over the years and how you approach your training. And it's quite an intense profession you have. And you're surrounded by people like that. I'm wondering if over the years you've noticed if people like you have something in common. What do all these elite athletes do the same, if you can generalize?
I think what really brings all the elite athletes kind of together puts them on that same page is their mindset and their mental ability. In all honesty, everybody's training about the same. You know, there's no super secret training method. It's just how do you handle your mind? How do you prepare mentally? And how do you never give up? How do you keep fighting, particularly on race day when things inevitably will get hard and you will question yourself and why you're out there?
Mm-hmm. You had a particularly scary challenge happen recently, just back in March of 2021 at the Challenge Miami. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened that day?
That day in Challenge Miami was it was a scary day.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a heart attack in the middle of the race. I was on the bike and I was actually in the front of the race doing great. And I started feeling chest pains and then pain down my left arm, and my jaw started to lock up. And I actually I said to myself, is this a heart attack? This isn't normal. This isn't the normal pain you'd feel during a race that you just have to push through.
Mm-hmm.
And then being the competitor I am, I just rationalized with myself that if I was really having a heart attack, I'd probably be on the ground right now. I wouldn't be pushing 300 and something watts on the bike and going, almost 30 miles an hour. So I just said, okay, I'm going to back off a little bit and just see how I feel. I kept going, ended up finishing the race, actually ended up 11th. So I was disappointed. I was out of the top 10 but I was right there. And
yeah. Times were even faster than some of your other finishes. You still did
it was
well.
It was still a solid day. It was performance where everybody said, oh yeah, T.O. is a little bit off, but it's early in the season. Maybe he's not fit. My wife and I just had a baby who was 8 weeks old.
Yeah.
But then after the race, everything kept getting worse and worse. So finally I went to the hospital and found out I had an over 80% block of my LAD, which is one of, your main arteries. Very, very serious condition. Luckily they cleared the block and they put a stent in, and now I'm kind of on my road back, letting my heart muscle recover and planning a path forward to return to racing.
Yeah. And I understand that the condition, the situation that was diagnosed was pretty grim. It has a pretty grim nickname, the Widowmaker.
Yeah.
What was it like to receive that kind of news?
Well, luckily, I called our primary care doctor here in Boulder, who has super amazing guy. He was an ER doctor as well, and he had a very calm manner and just walked me through what was happening. You're having a heart attack. They're going to perform this procedure. You're going to be completely fine. Don't worry. So I had a great, that put me at ease. But at one point in the emergency rooms, things started to get pretty heavy. They had expected me to, maybe flatline soon. They brought in, the big paddles and the emergency team. Yeah. And at that one moment, that's the one moment where I questioned, I asked myself, are you going to die? And that was probably the scariest moment, but I quickly put that out of my head. Mm-hmm. And I just said, you know what? Nope. You get those thoughts out of your head. You have to stay positive and just think about your family and, how long, I want to be around a long time and I want to be there for them. So I just shifted my mindset onto that positive thoughts.
That's amazing that you had the power, like you were able to have the strength of your mind there to help you out. That must have been a very scary moment. Um, what has it been like to cope with that kind of a challenge that obviously, put your training on hold for a while? What has it been like to handle that challenge since then?
It's definitely been a difficult several months. Luckily, I have amazing support from my friends and family,
Mhm.
and but it changes your perspective. When you have a near death experience,
Yeah.
you kind of take a moment to just internalize everything and reprioritize what's important, and
Mhm.
you know especially your family and in my case my children. So
Right.
that was really important. And it also, I think it brought me closer to some of my other military friends who have been in those situations day in, day out. Right.
Right.
I have a lot of buddies who are on the SEAL teams,
Mhm.
and it almost was a bond to when you're in those situations where, you are, you know, it is life or death. And, they, men and women that have those close calls, and you
Mhm.
start to understand how maybe they think differently now and
Mhm.
have that different outlook.
Mhm. And I understand you've slowly kind of gotten back into physical activity. And what's it been like to get back into some form of training again?
I absolutely love training.
Mhm.
Racing aside, when I'm retired and I'm not racing professionally anymore, you'll definitely see me out on my bike or out on the trails running. It's just such a great outlet, stress relief, fresh air outdoors,
Right.
chance to maybe be with some friends. So I was very happy to get back into training, but it's also hard. When you're always questioning, you
Yeah.
know, is this the right thing to be doing, or am I really okay? And
Mhm.
that's just something I've had to work through. And it's one of those things where it just takes time to become comfortable again. And
Mhm.
to be honest, I'll train indoors right now unless I have someone with me. I won't go out for a long 5 or 6 hour ride by myself.
Mhm.
There's just definitely more comfort to have someone with you when you're,
Yeah.
far away from home.
Yeah. I would imagine, do you feel yourself needing to kind of reconcile that probably natural instinct to really push and train with this also necessary need to maybe take things more slowly or be extra careful?
It's I'm a competitor in my heart, and so there have definitely been days training. I have a fantastic coach, Julie Dibbins, in our training squad here in Boulder, Colorado. And there's a few times where I found myself pushing a little harder, just
Yeah.
where I get in that kind of competitive mode, and I just have to take a step back. And usually Julie will, hey, remind me, hey, we've capped my heart rate at 150, so hey, what's your
Yeah.
heart rate at? Make sure you're in that kind of aerobic zone.
Yeah. And what is next for you?
So right now, I have a few more tests that I want to run before I get the all clear to really, put the throttle down and rev the engine, so to speak,
Yeah.
and get back to racing. So my wife, Marinda Carfrey, who's 3-time Ironman world champion, she's coming off of her second return after our second child. So she just did her first race back since having Finian in January, and she placed second place at Ironman 70.3 Timberman, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be Mr. Mom for the next couple months. I'm going to be on the road supporting Rinny in her next few races, and then we're going to start 2022 as a normal season, and I'll be back on the start line.
That's wonderful. Do you have advice on any level for service members who are watching this or reading the article?
Well, if in terms of if you're looking to get out and compete in a triathlon or try a triathlon, I highly suggest you do. There are amazing ways to get out and have some fun and some fitness. There's different levels of triathlon. So I would say start small, do a sprint triathlon or Olympic distance triathlon, and then work your way up to Ironman. Ironman for a lot of people is an amazing life goal. And if you prepare properly, you will have an amazing experience. And it's, something to really be proud of, and to test yourself and to see what you're made of. But find a local group. If there's a local club, either, even a master swim club, do some local running races, or, your MWR, or wherever whatever resources you have on your base. Military and triathlon are very intertwined, and you will find some great people that you'll just love being out and training with.
That's great. If people want to find you and follow you, learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Tim and Rennie Show, and that kind of follows all of our adventures. Or you can also go to Instagram, TO and Try. It's my handle.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad that you're well, and we wish you
Thanks, Natalie.
luck. All right.
Cheers.
Take care.